Call this meeting to order. We're going to ask Councilman Jared Bellard to lead us in invocation. Councilman Bruce Conk to please lead us in the pledge.
Lord, guide us today with your thoughts and prayers to do well for the city and parish of Lafayette. Also keep in mind everyone who has suffered through this great flood. In your name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Welcome you to today's budget review. This meeting is a public review of the proposed budget. If you wish to address the council, a green sheet should be filled out and given to the council clerk, Ms. Veronica Williams, seated to my left. I am requesting that the first row to my left be used for media only, and the right side of the auditorium be reserved for the budget and finance staff. I am also requesting that anyone who approaches the podium please state their name and title for the official record. Lastly, food and drinks are not allowed in the auditorium, and all cell phones and electronic devices shall be silenced from this point forward. This meeting is to address matters related only to the proposed budget document. Please, we request that all other matters specific to city council government business be directed to the administration and that it not be addressed at this public forum. The budget document has been posted on the website at www.lafayettela.gov under Finance. Public comment will be held immediately following each budget hearing on matters related to the specific department's budget. And of course, today, since it's a wrap-up, all departments and divisions have in fact been covered. You will be able to speak to those as well as what we cover here today. Council members are reminded that today the goal is to eliminate as many wrap-up items as possible, and that's also inclusive of those items that there are amendments to, objections to amendments to as well. With that being said, the possible actions for council members, of course, if today you have a general amendment you would like to bring forward based on the information that has been presented to you over these last few weeks, you could do that today. Of course, any of those amendments that is offered can be objected to, which will create a separate amendment. If there is a general amendment on the books that you have received information about that you do not have some level of comfort with, you can offer an objection to that today, and that would move from what is now a general amendment to a separate amendment. And of course, any and all wrap-up items we would hope to clear today, if possible. The clerk has provided you with an up-to-date list of what has been pulled, and at the closing of my remarks, I'm going to give you an additional opportunity if there are more that can be pulled, and finance could scratch them off the to-do list, okay? Mr. Nakan, Councilman Nakan hasn't joined us yet. We are anticipating his arrival. We do know that he has some daytime obligations, and he's been working very hard in the Dusson area with their recovery, but he may very well join us. But let me remind you that this is related to the budget. At this time, I will open the floor for any council announcements. Any council announcements? Mr. Terrio?
I'd like to withdraw.
Oh, Mr. Terry, I apologize. If you give me 1 second, this is just like the general flow. Then I'll come to see who wants to remove something. I apologize. Any announcements other than related to the business we're going to do today? Any updates you need to give or something you need the public to know? I apologize for that, Mr. Terry. Okay. Seeing none, Mr. President, do you have anything you need to offer us today at this time?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Again, this meeting today is for wrap-up on the proposed budget. The final adoption of this budget will be 2016-2017 budget, that is scheduled for Thursday, September the 8th. That'll be a special meeting at 5:30 p.m. of the City Council as well as the LPUA with a special LPPA meeting as well. And we're going to announce that again, but wanting to get that in. Lori, what I'll do at this point is see what needs to be pulled. Then I know there's a few things that you're going to want to offer, and we'll go to that next. So, gentlemen, and Mr. Terry, let me go to you first. If there is a wrap-up item, let's start off with wrap-up request. If you have a request that is on the books that you would like to pull at this time, please indicate. Mr. Terrio.
Yes, I'd like to pull number 11. That is the summary clarification relationship between, basically dealing with the MISO purchases and purchase power and MISO sales.
Okay.
That's all I have, thank you.
That's all you have. Thank you very much. Mr. Conk?
Please pull number 2 and number 19. Thank you.
Thank you. 2 and 19 is being pulled. Mr. Bellard?
Yes, pull number 12. I've been provided with adequate information.
Number 12 off of wrap-up is being pulled.
That is all, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bellard. Any other items to be pulled on wrap-up? Okay, any members, we had, I think in our final draft, there was a total of 3 separate amendments to items that was offered for amendment. Any separate amendments are being pulled at this time? Okay, seeing none, so those separate amendments will remain in place. Mr. Castillo?
Yes, Laurie, you were supposed to get back with me on a wrap-up item. I just noticed providing us funding source for the animal caretaker position, animal control. I said y'all want to go back and try to fix that.
What number is that, Mr. Castillo?
Number 18.
18, item 18. Hold on, I'm sorry, I didn't, okay, thank you.
If we go to the, I believe it's the second to last wrap-up request, it's dated Thursday, August 18th, and we said number 18.
It should be in your folder, second from the bottom.
Okay.
We prepared a budget amendment. It is titled in the upper left-hand corner, wrap-up number 18. It's 2 pages. If you would like to make that amendment to add the caretaker position back, we would introduce this as a possible amendment.
I'd like to make that general amendment. The caretaker position for Animal Control Division.
So it's to add 1 caretaker position back in animal control and adjust the manning tables according to this budget amendment here.
Okay, so that's going to be general amendment number 11, being made by Mr. Castillo.
Okay. That's it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any objections to that? That's to add the funding for an animal caretaker and an adjustment of the manning tables.
And would we then say that wrap-up number, item number 18 is now cleared?
Yes. And that creates general amendment number 11. And I don't see any objections, so that'll remain a general amendment. Mr. Cohn?
Pull number 14, if you would, on wrap-up.
Wrap-up item number 14 is being pulled. That's to provide the cost total for demolition of Pinhook Plant Facility as it relates to line item 79, Pinhook Plant Rehab. That was in the LUS 5-year capital. That's being pulled. You could continue to review your wrap-ups. Any general amendments to be pulled at this time? Any general amendments to be pulled? Mr. Castillo?
Yes, I'd like to pull General Amendment number 10.
General amendment number 10 related to SLCC is being pulled. Anyone else with a general amendment? Mr. Conk?
Wrap-up item number 19, which was addressing the library's request for additional staff. I would like to propose an amendment to grant their request for the 4 positions.
A general amendment. There was 4 positions being requested by the library. Mr. Conk had asked for some information on, he's now in receipt of that. I don't have those positions in front of me, but that was all in the budget review, and the final document will come forward. This is the technical specialist, 1 library information technical supervisor, 1 librarian 1, and 1 librarian 2. Those were the 4 positions. The funding was shared. This was something requested during the library's budget. Mr. Conk is now making that as a general amendment. Are there any objections? Seeing no objections, that'll be general amendment number 12. Could someone from Public Works come forward, please? I don't know if Tom's not back, huh? Yeah. This is in reference to the wrap-up item number 5. In reference to funding for Castile Street, I had asked where within the budget we could do it. We identified that there was $90,370.47 left over from the General Mouton Taft Roundabout project. Is that accurate? Yes, sir. Okay. What I would like to do at this time is make a general amendment to transfer $30,000 of that balance and move that into Public Works 5-year capital, and this is for the Castile Street turn lane. And create a line item, Lori, for that capital item in the 5-year capital. Move 30 from the General Mouton Taft Roundabout, and those was dollars left over from a previous project that we went a different direction on. So I'm offering that as a general amendment, which would be general amendment number 13. Any objections? Seeing none, that will go forward as a general amendment. And to close that account out, the balance remaining in that account will be $60,370.40. I'm also offering a general amendment. Lori, this is going to be in the council reserve for the North Lafayette Redevelopment Authority capital. I indicated on last year there was a line item for $250 that somehow went into the books as $50. We have secured a state match, a state allocation through their bond, their state bond program of $1 million allocation, and we're going to need a local match for that. So I'm trying to get back to that point. So the balance of a previous completed project, the $60,370 capital, I would like to move that into that council reserve. So that's item 20 on page 257, General Mouton Taft Roundabout, move $60,370.47 to the council reserve item, which is
What page was that on?
the roundabout page is page 20. I'm sorry, page 257, item 20.
257?
I think my number's all right. 259, maybe?
Maybe 259.
259?
Okay, good. Pay-as-you-go money, so that's fine.
259, I'm sorry. My 7 was looking like a 9. In that capital reserve line item is line item 4011100770600-0 reserve capital. Okay? All right, thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
So, Mr. Boudreaux, do we still need wrap-up item number 21?
I think that's the next one I'm about to get to.
Okay.
I was moving that direction. Actually, wrap-up item 21 was something for, finance to get back to me, and that was the moving of that 50 that was just referenced, which was put in last year's budget. We didn't do it as an amendment, but the amendment was to move it to this year's, just to simply move it to
Yes, sir.
16, 17.
Yes, sir,
So-
if you want to make that a general amendment.
Excuse me?
If you want to make that a general
Yes,
amendment.
yes,
or-
that would be a general amendment, to move the current allocation of $50,000 in the 2015, 2016, and move that allocation to the proposed 2016, 2017.
So would that be combined with the other
Yes.
60,000, so we can
Yeah.
put it as one item?
It's gonna all be one line item, that is
Okay,
correct.
good.
That is correct, that is where the dump is going. And then my final general amendment is going to be, line item 4011740030000170, page 272, that's SLCC. You all provided us the information indicating that that contract, of course, was not in place, and that was for a simple one-time funding. This is the item that Councilman Castile previously made a general amendment on. He has withdrawn that general amendment. I'm going to use that funding to close out the funding for the match. I would like to move that one to that line item that I just called out to you for the reserve capital. That'll be moved to 401100776060-0 reserve capital. So that'll be that 50 moved, the 60, and this 100 from the SLCC funding.
It'll be 210,370.
That is correct. Not quite 250, but we getting there. Are there any objections? Seeing none, that'll be a general amendment. Mr. Terrio.
I'd like to go ahead and announce this on behalf of Councilwoman Abear, since she will probably, she's trying but may not be here. She would like to pull wrap-up items number 6 and number 13.
I'm so sorry, I didn't even recognize Liz wasn't there. She normally hot, and I thought she was there. Okay, so we pulling 6 and 13,
Yes, sir.
okay?
Thank
Thank you. And that last general amendment made general amendment number 14. Welcome, Mr. Nakam. We're just doing a review of any wrap-up items that you requested that you would like pulled before we get in depth to anything. You could pull those at this time if you're satisfied. Any separate amendments that you objected to, that you objected to a general amendment, if you want to withdraw that, to move that to a new location, you can. Or if there was a general amendment that you offered that you wanted to adjust in any way. I don't see, you didn't have any generals, and I didn't see you object to any separate, so it would only be your wrap-ups if you have any, or if you have anything new coming into today.
Mr. Boudreaux, those
Yes, ma'am.
few general amendments that you just did for SLCC, does that clear wrap-up item number 7
Yes, ma'am, it does.
and maybe number 5?
Yes. I didn't say that?
I read your mind.
Mr. Bellard said I did. He had marked his already. Okay. Again, any items before we start the review of each?
I have a couple of things.
Yes.
I'd like to bring
Yes,
to your
you
attention.
do. You like the last caboodle, you the door closer, if you would.
One of them is for Mr. Gerald Boudreau. I'm not sure if if he was able to make it, but I have it in your folder, and it's labeled Exhibit A, number 1. And he has in the proposed budget to replace a mid-size SUV, but he really needs to replace a park police vehicle, which would make that SUV move divisions. So he doesn't want to increase the budget, just move the vehicle from Division 6130 to Division 6140, and change the name from replace mid-size SUV to replace park police vehicle.
Okay.
And it's just one.
That is in your package. I think you have reviewed it. Mr. Bellard is offering that amendment. That'll be General Amendment number 15. Are there any objections to that amendment? Seeing none, that'll be a general amendment.
And then wrap-up item number 17 was what the assessor offered to us when he presented his budget. He said he would pick up the extra cost as it was related to the assessor's software. We worked up the budget amendment, and it is labeled wrap-up item number 17, and it is located in the group that is dated Thursday, August 18th. I would like to know if you would consider taking that wrap-up item number 17 and moving that for a general amendment. And what that does is he said he would pick up the increase in expenses for 1 year, so it is actually increasing our bottom line a little bit.
Okay. Mr. Conk is going to offer that amendment. Do you have a dollar amount on that by any chance?
Sure.
For the record, item number 17 is now being pulled officially. Item 17 is being pulled. A general amendment is being offered by Mr. Conk, and that dollar amount is going to be?
It is 2 pages worth of journal entries because there's one in every fund that receives property taxes. But just to give you an example, in the city general fund, it will increase fund balance by $427. And in the parish general fund, there's a difference of $3,000.
Okay. Mr. Conk is making that amendment. Are there any objections?
And it is labeled wrap-up item number 17.
That's been pulled. There are no objections. That'll be general amendment number 16. Wrap-up request information for item 22 and 23 has been satisfied. So for the purpose of needing additional information that could be pulled, that information has been satisfied. So, again, on wrap-up items, item number 8, Mr. Conk requests that line item 4011780000555130 PW Extension Land acquisition on page 279 in the amount of $775,000 be examined by Public Works to determine accuracy and the possible necessity for adjustment. You have the floor, sir. If you have any questions, if Public Works hasn't been able to, you on.
I have not received any information from Public Works. It wasn't critical, but I wanted to make sure that we were addressing an accurate amount.
Terry Cordick, Associate Director of Public Works Operations. We're looking at 1.3 million would be a a better number for that. We have not seen the, from Mike Copes, exactly what the, I guess, the appraisal of value is on it yet, so that's in the process, but we're thinking 1.3 might be more appropriate.
Okay, with that, Mr. Chair, I'd like to propose an amendment on page 279. I don't have the account numbers. Laurie, would you have that handy?
That is Fund 401, and so you would have to reduce capital elsewhere in order to have the money to increase here.
Okay, I'm not prepared to do that. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so what we'll do, Mr. Conk, if you're approved, your information as far as the more accurate number has been satisfied. If you intend to bring an amendment, you'll have that ready for adoption.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so item number 8, information-wise, has been satisfied, okay? And Mr. Conk will get with PW and look at some capital to see if we could achieve that. So number 8 has been satisfied. Mr. Lewis, item number 9, provide a listing of the expenditures within line item 2016130-70907, that's contractual services. This was on page 190 for current year, and that was in Parks.
Yes, I didn't receive all the information I needed, so can we put a little hold on that?
You did receive?
No, I did not. I just
Okay.
received part of it, not the whole figures that I
Okay.
needed.
Is somebody here from Parks? Because at adoption, wrap up, at adoption, we're going to be voting on issues, so that information is critical. Yes, ma'am.
Rakisha Thomas, the Department Budget Analyst for Parks.
Okay. There was a request. You got a contractual services line item, and that's line item 2016130-70907-0. This was on page 190 of our budget. And what Mr. Lewis was looking for was the expenditures that you all used that line item for. Would you have that available today by any chance?
Yes.
Okay, could you share that with him?
That information is in your wrap-up packet. It's on a date, it's dated wrap-up request by council Tuesday, August 9th, 2016. And it's item number 9. It's a single, the only one on that page. And it's in an email from Mr. Boudreau, Mr. Gerald Boudreau. I'm sorry, it's not from Gerald. Is that from you?
It's from Noreen, his secretary.
From Noreen, and copied to Gerald, and he has everything outlined right there. Was there something additional in addition to this? Because this defines everything that's in the account number, so if you can give us a little more detail on what you're looking for, so that way they could better provide the information.
Okay, where did you say it is located?
It's,
Check, it's going to be on one of your short pages.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, check. They got number 9 at the top, I think.
Yes, it's just saying, estimate, I just would want to know exactly what basic, it's saying a cost estimate, repairing what part, is just a roof or repairing the whole pavilion, or 1, 2? I think there are 2 pavilions that needs repair, and I want to make sure if it was the 2 pavilions or with just the roof or putting the utilities back on the lighting, the water.
It's the one pavilion, it's the Debayon Pavilion,
It's one.
the roof repair.
Okay, and what's repaired? I'm sorry, you said.
The roof repair.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm gonna pull that one. I'm gonna, yeah, pull it.
You good with that one?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm good with it.
Okay. Number 9 is satisfied. Mr. Terrio, item number 10. This one is for LUS. This is provide a list showing the appropriations related to the Doc Bonnet facility throughout the budget, as well as information on what is being done with the facility. That's the Doc Bonnet facility. You have the floor, Mr. Terrio.
Yes, do we have somebody from LUS who can address some of the questions?
Thank you.
Identify yourself, please, sir.
Sure. I'm Andrew Duyos, Customer and Support Services Manager for LUS.
Okay. Just to do a little recap, Mr. Duyon, I think on the Doc Bonet plant right now is or is not in operation?
It's in what we call economic suspension. I mean, it's not actually being operated. That's what it is.
Yeah, no. Hey, it's just, it's nice, it's a nice phrase. People just got a kick out of it.
Right.
Economic suspension.
It says so.
Jay said that sounds like his checkbook.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean, just to clarify, it doesn't mean that we can just walk away from the plant. There's a lot of activities that still go on at the plant, a lot of heavy equipment. We have, equipment that moves equipment in there that all needs to be maintained. And the environmental concerns in the building have to be met. And also the preparation for eventually moving away, decommissioning the unit and walking away from it. So those are the costs that are incurred. And I think you see a listing, we listed the items that were in contractual services and generator maintenance and different things. And I don't know that it was totaled, but I totaled it up and it's about $662,000, I believe.
Almost 700,000, right?
Yeah, correct.
And how long have we been in this economic suspended period?
For about 3 years that it's not been in operation. So,
Okay. Now, from what we have on the information provided us, just those here, and they're saying from the current mothballed status until the units are fully retired and the demolition project is funded through a capital project. Do we have a designated capital project at this time to do this?
well, I mean, potentially, we have that large capital item in, I think it's fiscal year 2019 in the 5-year capital plan. It's about $108 million. So until we decide what we're going to do with the unit that will succeed that, and what will be the status of the Doc Bonet unit, I guess what I'm saying is potentially within that capital cost for the generating unit that we have in 2019, you could have the demolition of this unit in there as well. But we don't know that yet because we don't know what we're going to do with the next generating unit. We're working on an integrated resource plan right now. It's almost complete. And we'll see a lot of our generating unit options from that plan, and we'll know better about what we can do at that point.
So we're looking at, say, $700,000 for right now, projected in the capital budget to maybe do a complete closeout, Mr. Duyon, maybe in 2019, like you mentioned in the 5-year capital. So between now and what we spent since it's been suspended 3 years ago till 2019, we're looking at a substantial amount of money in order to process and shut down and move all the equipment. Is that a correct statement?
Well, yeah, I mean, substantial, it depends on how you look at substantial. I mean, it's $700,000 for this year. I mean, we have a $250 million budget. So, you have to look at the scope of it, I guess. But eventually, if we do decide we have to demolish the building, I mean, it'll be in the millions of dollars. I mean, it will be a substantial expenditure. But if we decide to build a unit at the site where Bonet is now, demolish it and build it up, it'll be, the cost of that capital go into that project.
Okay, one question that was brought before me, and you kind of led into it, is that what is the possibility, I mean, I know you guys have some chemical and environmental things that have to be taken care of, if you put it on the market and sold it as is, and removing the vital equipment that's needed and let a buyer or potential developer take access of the property and the buildings without additional cost to Lafayette Consolidated Government?
Well, for somebody to acquire it and run it as a unit, it's not economic. That's part of why it's an economic suspension, because it's not economically in the market now. So that doesn't seem feasible. The other thing is that we wouldn't want to sell it at this point because probably the best option for us is to build our next units in that location. So we certainly don't want to sell in a location where we sell that building and have somebody else use that land in an area where we may need it for future generating needs.
Okay. So we've got almost 700,000 this year. We don't know what the three, Ms. Toops, just real quick, the three previous years, you don't know how much was spent on that? Just, let's assume that it was somewhere around 500 to 700. Would you agree, Mr. Duyal, in order to maintain it?
I
The
suspect it
last three?
probably was,
So
yes.
looking at what we spent in order to maintain this and bring it down for environmental reasons, a couple of line items in here I just wanted to ask you a quick question on. One is re-engineering the critical alarm systems and the switch yard alarm systems. We're going to spend $30,000 just to do that. Is that something that needs to be done at this point with a facility that's not in operation? Do you still have to have that?
We do, yes. Right. And keep in mind also, like when we say switch yard alarm systems, that means there's a substation that's right next to the building. And so those things are integrated. And so we're not talking about just the units themselves. We're talking about those other facilities that support that building, right? And they're not just supporting that unit, they're also being used for substation uses for the rest of our system as well, for our looped system, so.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tender the mic. I think Mr. Lewis also, he and I had some discussions about this. I don't know if he's got any additional ones. But for my final here, you're projecting somewhere around 2019, Mr. Duyal, to be at a stage where you guys know if you're going to rebuild or not, and turn around and invest additional millions of dollars into that facility?
That's what we've identified in our 5-year capital plan, 2019. Correct.
Okay. Mr. Chair, that's all I have for now.
All right, so that information has been satisfied. So that satisfied all of our wrap-up requests, okay? Unless I miss up, Madam Clerk, correct me, but it seems like all wrap-up requests was either pulled prior to us gathering here today and assembling, or they were satisfied by today. Is that correct?
You are correct, sir.
Okay, members, do you have any wrap-up items that have not been satisfied to your knowledge? Okay, so this is where we at, members. We have 3 separate amendments on the books, and those were derived from the fact that someone made a general amendment and it was objected up to. Of course, separate amendment number 1 was the Bellard Amendment to reduce some funding in international trade and to try to find relief for the volunteer fire departments throughout the parish. That was objected to by CONC. That's on the books as we know it today. The second separate amendment was made by Castile, made an amendment to decrease particular line item for downtown overtime detailed. That was objected to by CONC. That is on the books today. And the third separate amendment derived from Bellard amended funding from the Pinhook plant rehab and reduce that amount in the LUS 5-year capital, and that was objected to by CONC. So those are our 3 separate amendments, and of course, our general amendments will be items that will go into the budget as though they were proposed initially. This will end our council time or discussion for now. What we're going to do, we're going to go to green cards for public comment. Finance, you've made all your amendments and adjustments necessary that we needed to address here today?
Yes, sir.
Okay, where you at? Okay. And of course, the administration was not bringing anything new forward to our knowledge. Everything's good to this point. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to go to green cards. The 5-minute rule, of course, does remain in effect. We're going to identify our speakers, and they could speak to, of course, any part of this budget, inclusive of what has taken place here today. So with that said, Madam Clerk, our first speaker, please.
Mr. Chairman, we have 0 speakers.
0 speakers. Okay. All right. We good to go. He had a lot of people with 0 speakers. Mr. Pope, I got a memo today. Congratulations. We'll take care of that. Thank you very much.
The only thing, Mr. Pope, is that your retirement event is the same day as final adoption of the budget.
That could mess things up. You're gonna have more fun. All right. Okay. All right. Again, I would like to announce that the final adoption of the 2016-2017 budget is scheduled for Thursday, September the 8th, 2016 at 5:30 p.m. at a special joint City Parish Council LPUA meeting with a special LPPA meeting immediately following. And let it be known that with the amendments that remain, the three separate amendments that remain prior to the adoption of the budget, those items, in fact, the objections can be removed and they may go forward, or the amendment that was made can be removed, which would allow it to go forward as it was in the proposed budget. Okay? With that said, this meeting is adjourned.